Have you ever really watched a bus driver? It seems pretty simple, right? You're just steering a big wheel. But behind that calm face, there's a whole hidden playbook, a set of rules and checks that make every single trip a masterclass in safety. Today, we're going to open up that playbook and see what's inside. So let's set the scene. You're at the bus stop. You see the bus pull up. But before those doors even think about hissing open, a whole safety ritual has already happened. It's so much more than just turning a key, you know? It's a really detailed process that starts long before the first passenger is even on their way.
So we're basically going to follow a driver through their entire day, broken down into 5 key stages. We'll start with the pre-trip check in the morning and go all the way to the final sign-off at night. This is the system that keeps millions of us safe every single day.
Okay, so let's start at the very beginning, the pre-trip safety check. This is where it all begins. The foundation for a safe ride is laid right here in a quiet, empty bus way before anyone is even thinking about getting on.
And get this, the very first thing a driver does isn't check the oil of the tires. It's check the paperwork. They have to grab the inspection report from the last driver and literally sign off that any problems have been fixed. It's like a baton of safety being passed from one shift to the next.
Okay, now for the walk around. The detail here is just incredible. They check everything. Brakes, steering, the horn. But check out that note on the tires, no recaps on the front. That's actually a federal rule. And the reason is super important. If a front tire blows, you could completely lose steering control. That one little check prevents a total disaster.
Once the outside's good to go, they move inside. And this is not just a quick glance. We're talking about physically pulling on handholds and railings, looking for anything on the floor that could make someone trip, and making sure every single seat is bolted down tight. The whole point is to find a problem before it finds a passenger.
All right, the bus itself is officially safe. But now comes the most unpredictable part of the entire day. Us. The passengers. And all the stuff we bring with us. This is where the driver's job gets really, really interesting. So the driver's next role is kind of like a bouncer at a club. They have to be on the lookout for hazardous materials. Now, the official definition is any substance that poses a risk. But you'd be surprised what kinds of everyday things can fall into that category.
Drivers are actually trained to spot these little diamond-shaped labels from a mile away. You're probably not going to see someone trying to get on with a case of plutonium, but what about a small propane tank for a barbecue? Or a can of gasoline? Sorry, those are forbidden. And the driver is the one who has to make that call.
And this really shows you the kind of tough calls they have to make on the spot. Yeah, there are a few exceptions, like for emergency medical supplies, but for the most part, if it's on that hazard list, it's a hard no. Why? Because the safety of 50 people on board is always going to win out over the convenience of one person.
All right, time for a number. 2 inches. That's it, just 2 inches. What on earth could be so important about 2 inches on a bus?
Those 2 inches? That's the width of the standee line. You know that line on the floor near the driver? It might look like just a strip of paint, but it's a critical safety barrier. It keeps people from crowding the driver, blocking their view of the mirrors, or even getting an arm caught in the door. A simple 2-inch line makes a world of difference.
Okay, now we're moving. This is the part of the job we all actually see. But the driver's brain is basically split in two. They're not just navigating traffic, they're actively managing the entire environment inside the bus at the same time.
This pretty much says it all. A driver's eyes are in constant motion. They're checking the road ahead, then the mirrors, then a quick scan of the passengers inside, then back to the road. It's this non-stop 360-degree bubble of awareness.
You ever notice how smoothly a good bus driver pulls away from the curb? Well, that's not just for your comfort, it's a deliberate safety procedure. They are trained to wait until you're seated or at least holding on before they hit the gas. And that's because sudden, jerky movements are a huge cause of passenger injuries. A smooth ride is a safe ride.
Here's a cool piece of insider info. You see a speed limit sign for a curve. That's meant for a car. For a huge, top-heavy vehicle like a bus, it's a whole other ballgame. Drivers are taught to literally feel the bus. If it starts to lean even a little bit, they know they're going too fast. They have to drive slower than the posted limit to keep that bus stable.
Okay, now we're getting into some of the most high-stakes moments of any trip. There are certain situations where the rulebook gets even more strict and demands total focus and a very specific step-by-step protocol. Let's dig into those. All right, here's our next critical measurement, 15 to 50 feet. It's a range that every single bus driver knows by heart. Any ideas what it's for?
Yep,
It's the mandatory stopping distance for a railroad crossing. This is non-negotiable. They stop in that zone, pop open the front door to hear better, look both ways, and only then do they cross. Oh, and here's the kicker. They never, ever change gears while on the tracks. That completely eliminates the risk of stalling in the danger zone. Smart, right?
And you know what? The same basic logic applies to drawbridges. Unless you've got a green light or a traffic cop waving you on, the rule is simple. Stop at least 50 feet back. It's another one of those simple rules designed to prevent a total catastrophe.
So, the last passenger has gotten off, the bus is back at the depot, but the job's still not done. That safety cycle that started hours and hours ago has to be closed out properly.
And this is where it all comes full circle. The driver does one last walkthrough and fills out a post-trip inspection report, noting any little dings, rattles, or issues that came up. And that report, that's the exact piece of paper the next driver is going to pick up to start their shift. It creates this perfect, unbroken loop of safety.
And finally, let's just run through the absolute don'ts. These are the hard and fast rules. You will never see a professional driver fueling with people on board, or getting into a deep chat while the bus is moving. These aren't just suggestions, they're strict rules that all point to one thing. The safety of the passengers comes first. Period.
So next time you get on a bus and you see the driver taking an extra second to do a check or waiting for you to sit down before pulling out, you'll know what's really going on. It's not just a job, it's a profession with a deep, hidden playbook, and it's all designed around keeping you safe. Kind of makes you think, doesn't it?